G'day ladies and gents, Cubic Meter here. Now what is the most compact trading hall you can think of? Is it 2 wide tileable? 1 wide tileable? Or simply a pit where you experiment with new vaccines? If it's the last one, then get some psychiatric help. Otherwise, for the first two, you'd be close but not quite there. Here's a cool idea. Instead of placing villages in a straight line along a wall, store them in a 2D tileable matrix, where all of the components needed to move villages in and out of the system are hidden beneath the floor. This is my 2x6 wide tileable system that I designed for 1.16. However, I'm not quite happy with it because it's pretty messy and it can easily break if you activate adjacent slices too quickly. However, 1.17 introduces the most powerful feature ever conceived. Of course I mean that rails don't get washed away by water. I realise this sounds like a bit of a stretch, but check out this insane 3x3 wide tileable villager storage module, which would only be possible by placing water sources directly next to rails. You simply input a villager and it'll automatically mark itself as occupied. Now if I send any additional villagers, they'll be sent to the next module. This water elevator offers an extremely compact way to store the villager in such a way that it can't pathfind. It can also be easily toggled in order to remove the villager from the system and transport it somewhere else. And of course, the cell automatically marks itself as unoccupied and it can receive a new villager. Stacking all the modules and filling them up gives us possibly the densest bunch of villages possible. Here we are storing a total of 88 villages within a 32x32 block area. This ensures that you have access to heaps of villages without having to travel very far. And this particular design offers many improvements over the previous design that I made for the Hammer SMP. Check out my video for that villager storage system if you haven't seen it already. In this compact system we have all the features we need for a villager trading hall. First of all, assigning workstations is as easy as placing them down just underneath the villagers like so. You can then send any villager you want to the center console of the trading hall by tapping the note block just underneath the villager once. Once our villager arrives in the center, we have three options. We can either dispose of the villager because it has unwanted trades, send it back to its storage cell, or get it infected and cure it so we can get better deals. Here's where the magic of a 2D tileable system really kicks in. We start by redirecting villagers to any side which has available modules. The modules are then further indexed by their column. So if any one of these columns of modules has an available one, it will deflect this rail into the accepting state, and that way our villager will always find the first available cell as efficiently as possible. So if I send this guy back to his cell, he'll get sucked into the floor and immediately get sent to the first available cell, which is right here. This contrasts with the system that I designed for the Hammer SMP server, which has a very convoluted network of rails, which takes a very long time to transport villagers from cell to cell. But I can never forget how awesome the interior of this trading hall looks. This trading hall also comes with a handy built-in zombification chamber. All you need to do is hit the button, and a villager will automatically be dispatched to our resident zombie. It also features infection detection, make sure the villager is reliably infected. It'll also hit it with a weakness arrow and automatically dispense a golden apple so we can cure it. We can now send a zombified villager back to his cell for him to stew away until he converts back into a regular old villager. Our golden apples and weakness arrows are simply stored in droppers in the floor here and here, hidden away under these trapdoors. Before you get concerned about how on earth you're going to get weakness arrows, look no further than our own resident Fletcher. The storing out villagers and trading with them is great and all, but what about some more technical features to give us a hand? From my previous video, you might remember the end gateway trick that we used to prevent trade locking. Here is our same villager storage system However, slightly modified to allow for an end gateway and a water stream, so we can automatically trade with our villager and prevent trade locking. And yes, I am flexing by using suppressed water here, but you can simply contain it with a transparent block like signs or fence gates and it'll be fine. With our villager in the center console, all we need to do is mount the water stream, click on our villager, and make our trades. Once this is done, we can click on our chest and repeat the process provided there aren't XP orbs blocking us from going through the end gateway, which is kind of weird. But here we go, we're back through and the trades are unlocked. From my previous video, a lot of you were wondering how I built this system to send you back to the villager trading hall. Well, here's a cutaway, and you should be able to figure out how it works just by looking at this. In 1.17, I've just added this additional little trapdoor here, which increases the reliability of the system slightly. So yeah, the weird thing is that in 1.17, the villagers still drop XP without actually locking their trades. So I guess we now have a new XP farm. But what if you want the same functionality that you get from the end gateway, but don't want to build your system in the end? Well, amazingly, I actually have a solution for this. Granted, it is a lot more complicated, however, it works anywhere in the overworld. What you need to do is build some ender pearl stasis chambers such as this one, which are perfectly aligned such that they lie within the entity processing chunks of portal-based chunk loader, which also has to be far enough away from the villagers such that the villagers are not even within the lazy chunks. So here we have the lazy load chunks, redstone processing chunks, and entity processing chunks. If I go to the nether side of this system, I have this network of instant wires communicating between two different locations in the overworld through the nether. So here is our chunk loader for the villager trading hall, and all the way over there is a chunk loader for a remote enderpearl stasis chamber. If I flick this lever, we will begin running both of our chunk loaders at the villager trading hall and our remote location outside of render distance. So this segment at the bottom half of the portal is a permaloader. The segment at the top of the portal is the way in which we communicate across dimensions by sending minecarts through our portals. With both of my stasis chambers loaded with enderpearls and both locations being permanently loaded, I can now walk up to any villager that I want to trade, hit this note block above its head, and then open the GUI. I'll then be transported to the remote location from which I can perform the trade. Then I must reload this enderpearl stasis chamber. And the instant this is done, it will then send the signal back to the villager trading hall and tell that stasis chamber to send me back. I'll then load this stasis chamber. And now I can walk back over to my villager and perform the process all over again. Wait, that's not him. Where is he? There he is. And once again drops XP for some reason, which is weird, but hey, it's 1.17. So I just hit the note block, open the GUI, and boom, I'm now 700 blocks away. I can perform the trade, reload the stasis chamber, and start the process all over again. So yeah, it's doable in the overworld, however, it is much slower than just trading with multiple villagers at once, if say you only needed a few items at a time. But it is super useful if you need lots of a particular item in a given trading session. But of course, if you want much faster trades, you can just build the much simpler end gateway based system. So that will be all. Be sure to check out the world download to suss out this working system for all its details in case you want to build this setup for yourself in 1.17. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.